All right. Hey there. It's Collin, Fett, your agent, here with the 5 things that you need to know before buying your first house. So, we're going to take a 30,000-foot view of the most important things. I've got other videos diving, deeper into each specific areas. This is like 30,000-foot view. These are the 5 things that you need to know to get you on the right path so you can buy a house this year. Been working with a lot of people. You're in a lease, you're getting ready to buy your new first house, you're a couple months out, 5 months out. Now is the planning phase, figuring everything out. You're never going to know everything, but kind of getting the ball rolling. So, item number one is start to learn the market. Learning the market by looking online, meeting with an agent like myself, taking property tours, and then you start to narrow down what you're actually looking for. So you get an idea of what $250,000 buys you. You get an idea of 200. You get an idea of 270. You kind of get one, depending on your price point, 150. You get an idea of the broad spectrum, 300, 350. You get an idea of, and obviously this depends on what you're approved for and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of times you're approved for 250 down, so you could buy a $170,000 house, or you could buy a $250,000 house. So really narrowing in on, this is what our must-haves are, these are our must-not-haves, and at the end of the day, there's not a huge selection of inventory, and usually in the market it starts to get competitive in the spring. So really narrowing in on what you're looking for to know, bam, this is the one that checks all of our boxes and be able to make a decisive decision is super important. And it helps to have these steps in place to know what you're looking for. So number two is learning the buying process. So step one is looking at the market, getting a general idea. Again, you'd hire someone like me to help you navigate all that. But knowing that you have to make an offer. So how does the offer work? What's a purchase agreement? What are the things that you're agreeing to when you're signing the purchase agreement, the agreement to purchase? What are the contingencies? From there, the offer gets negotiated. You sign the offer, and then earnest money is collected, and then inspection happens. Then inspection's negotiated, and then you finally go. You close. You put the money down. You get the keys. It's your house. So understanding that process. Again, I've got other videos that dive deeper into each specific area of that, but that is a key part of it. Number three is understanding the lending process. So if you're not paying cash, you got to be getting a loan. So understanding what closing costs are, understanding the different loan programs, understanding if getting a IFA grant, Iowa Finance Authority grant, because you're a first-time buyer makes sense, or does it not? Does it make sense to buy in Ames or buy outside of Ames? All these different things that kind of play into item one of where we're looking, what price point we're looking. It's important to have a lender that you can trust. I always recommended someone local because you can sit down with them. I mean, this day and age, you can go face to face, but having someone local, they understand what other buyers are going through, what the market's like. They understand those things, opposed to, someone that's sitting in an office in Arizona. You may never see the person, but someone local, I feel, as a huge asset for you as a buyer to be working with. And so number four is understanding the inspection. This is always a holdup with the buying process, it seems like. So one facet is understanding what is to be expected in the different price points. So if you're buying a $130,000 house in Ames, the inspection report's going to look a lot different than a $300,000 house in Ames, or at least it should. There's going to be a lot more red on a $130,000 house than there is for a $300,000 house. But it's also less than half the price. So understanding that is important, because then you kind of know what you're getting yourself into ahead of time. At the same time, where is it reasonable to ask the seller to make some repairs? Where is it reasonable to ask for things to be negotiated off the price? So understanding kind of what is to be expected is, I feel, important. It saves a lot of heartache on both sides of the equation, both for you as the buyer and the seller, to make it a smooth process. So again, if you're looking for a $130,000 house with no issues, that just doesn't exist. If you're looking for a $300,000 house with limited issues, I mean, that's probably more realistic. Last one, number five, is hire an agent like myself. So I just threw a ton of stuff at you, knowing all the ins and outs, the intricacies, and I feel this is my little pitch, but I feel it's important to hire an agent that understands the process. So me and the team here, we've been through over, I calculated it since we started, we've done over 325 transactions. That means we've been down the road a ton of times. And what separates us from other agents, I feel, is we've got checklists in place. So every time we do a transaction, we sit down, we say, if there's anything that went wrong, anything, the buyer didn't quite understand that was going to happen, or it was going to happen this way, we sit down, we change our checklist to make sure that the buyer or the seller knows what's going on, or the lender gets the communication that they need to make sure that everything goes right. So I feel we've done a really good job of improving that system and make sure it's a smooth process from start to finish, so that you as a buyer, you're educated on all these steps more in detail. But then once it's under contract, what happens next? What do you need to know next? What's the lender need to have to make sure that we close on time, so on and so forth. So all these things I feel are super important to have for the agent that you hire, the team that you hire. So anyway, hope you're having a great day. And as always, if you got more questions, I'd love to help. I'd love to sit down and chat about your specific real estate needs. And let's go buy a house.